much harder to find than, than the steep ones. And this one, for example, I've used this as an example of a flat one in here. See Brexias and so on. So this is still brittle, but it's actually in a ductile thrust zone here. And you can see now we don't see a little bit of bleaching, but the rocks, this is a basalt, the rocks aren't that discoloured, they're not bleached. This is because this deposit formed at about 500 degrees Celsius. The wall rocks are just into the amphibolite facies and biotite, so we don't get muscovite anymore, we get biotite, and so the rocks don't look white or creamy coloured. We can see here an example. This is a place called Cleo Sunrise. Several companies try. You can see the problem we have in West Australia. Got lateritic material, got sedimentary material, got bleached material, leach material, got a salt lake over here. Several companies looked at this before anyone discovered the gold. They were all working around here, but they didn't discover the gold. I think it was the company that found this part of the deposit first. This company was just about to walk away. I think this company had actually given up the ground, and now the deposit's half owned by two companies, but the company that made the discovery over here first actually gave away a lot of this ground because they'd explored it. So it's about the third exploration attempt that found the gold. Again, got big thrusts, banded iron formations, folded between the thrusts and the ore occurring in here. It's also an historic photograph in Western Australia. It was believed that women were bad luck underground. The miners believed that they were bad luck. So it was a total ban on any woman going underground by law there. And they relaxed it a little bit, and they said women could go underground. They couldn't work underground, but they could go as visitors. So they had no change rooms, they had no ladies' toilets, nothing. And so it was quite interesting. We had Neil Phillips was a very dynamic character, and probably for that reason, the first 8 students we had were all women. It was quite interesting. We had the all-girls gold group, we called it, because the first man we had was the 9th student we took on, and 2 of the women were called Golding, which was quite interesting as well. And so I said to the women, look, you can go underground, all fine to go underground, but you don't want to be conspicuous. You know, it's a special privilege you've been given here at this time. Just be quiet, just don't look abnormal. So because there were no overalls for the women, they had to buy all their own gear. So I come out the first day, we come out of the shed, and there they're wearing pink, orange, everyone else is wearing white. So all these women are standing there in these fashion-coloured overalls, and I think, oh my God, you know. As usual, they didn't do what they. Luckily, they still had black boots. They didn't have pink boots or something like this. And it was quite interesting that one of the women we had, the very first woman we ever had working on gold, is now the chief of CSIRO, which is the big government group. So she was a very clever girl. She was our first student we ever had, and she she was working for the company and defied the underground ban. So when the mines inspectors came, any woman that was working underground ran up to the surface and pretended they were typing or something, and she defied it and changed the law in West Australia, so women now can work underground. So there's quite a lot of history in these slides. It's a very interesting exercise. So women geologists were very, very rare. What, 20? When you went through, there wouldn't have been many, would there, Phil?
No.
And so it's now become quite common. Women make very good geologists. Yeah. They're very good observers. I think women are much better at observing things than men. I've noticed that if you go like in mineralogy, I had this one student. She was actually a fashion model as well as being a geologist, And we did mineralogy, minerography or petrology, and she was brilliant at it. And I said to her, why are you so good? And she said, well, I know all the fashion colours, so I know the difference between flesh and blaze and blah, blah. So she could pick these incredible small colour differences between the minerals. It was just extraordinary because she was so interested in fashion and all the colours. I mean, man can't even, the woman comes and says, oh, I bought this new fashion colour, it's all blah, 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 and the man can't see any different to what it was last year or the year before. So it's interesting. Anyway, just to break up the story a bit. Now, this is a Norseman, and again we're in amphibolite fascies. We can see that there's no bleaching here at all. Now we're at about 600 degrees, this deposit formed, and the minerals here are biotite and amphibole, they're tremolite or actinolite. So we don't see any colour bleaching whatsoever. Very difficult to recognise this is going to be a gold deposit, except for the classic, these cracked seal type veins that we see. This deposit, this photo, it's in weathered rock, but it demonstrates a lot of things about the gold deposits. You can probably see, can you see this is green out here?
Yep.
Want to see that's green? This is a bit darker colour. Whoops. This is a bit, sorry, the pointer on this is very close to the changes, so often clicks across. See there's a boundary there. This is a bit brown. So this is an amphibolite fascist deposit. This is an ultramafic rock. It's quite green, it's chloride and amphibole. And there, biotite. This biotite's the alteration mineral, so you get this brownish colour in here. This is quite a soft rock. See the shearings of fabric in here. This is a granite dike, we call them porphyry. Porphyry's in Western Australia. It's been, there's the other side of it down there. There's a thrust fault runs through there. So that bit is moved about 2 or 3 metres. You can see the size of some guys down here. Actually quite short people. This is about 5'6" or something. So this is probably about 3 metres. It's showing that the amount of movement during the gold event, these porphyries were in place shortly before the gold, is very small. We're not looking at hundreds of metres of movement associated with the gold. We're looking at very small movement. This is a very rigid rock. This is a very soft rock. So we get like a pressure shadow here. I can't really, we haven't got a board or anything to draw on. But if you know, if you ever, any of you looked at your geologists, you looked at the metamorphic rock, you see garnets in a thin section. They're very hard and they're rotated around, and you get these little quartz zones on the end of them, what we call the pressure shadow. So that's hard, that's soft. So the fluid tends to migrate into these shadow zones in here. So the grade in there is 2 to 5 times the grade out here. Just that local part there will be very high grade. So because this is flat, the ore shoots, the high grade part, although the whole ore body is nearly vertical, the rich bits will be sort of plunging rods into the bore. What it looks like is this. So we've got a whole lot of quartz veins which have been broken up. The brown is biotite, and the green is actinolite or amphibole. There. When it gets even hotter, the system, this is a really deep one, so this one's probably forming at more than 15 kilometres below the surface. We've got a shear zone with gold in it. This is now diopside, so it's a pyroxene, and this is phlogopite, which is just magnesium mica. It's just like biotite, but with magnesium in it. So we've got a rock totally unrecognisable as a war rock alteration associated with the gold. And we know it's hydrothermal